All right, so here is our Ableton Live's first lesson. We will be going through a lot of different things which will help you get started with Ableton Live. The first thing I want you to go ahead and look at in Ableton Live is the preferences. I know there are a lot of things on your screen, but first thing that you need to see is preferences. You can find this in your Windows laptop with Control plus comma, and in Mac you can find it with Command plus comma. As soon as we open it, you can see the first tab on the left side is look and feel. You can change different aspects of this. By default, your Ableton Live must look like this, and I usually prefer this one because it's a little more readable. I also can change the brightness of the screen. I can change the colors and so on. Of course, there is zoom as well. If I want to make it bigger or smaller, I'll keep it on default for now. And we will start using what we have here in our screen. The second thing, of course, if you have already bought some external sound card, you may get a hint of this before. You have to select a driver from here. I usually prefer that you go with whatever is at default in the beginning, and slowly progress towards using external audio cards and sound cards to get going with your Ableton Live journey. The very first thing we will do today is record something in the audio channel. As you can see, we have 4 audio channels here, out of which 2 are designed for what we call as MIDI. You can see 1 is MIDI, 2 is also MIDI, 3 is audio, 4 is audio. The first one that we call as MIDI is going to take an input from a USB keyboard, right? Which is very easily available. If you want to buy it off, we can recommend you something. If you go with audio, this is the simplest thing to understand, because if you just go ahead and look at it, it's nothing but an audio sample in music production just means a small clip of audio. On the left side, you can see a browser from where you can actually change any sound effects or MIDI effects. You can access some sounds, drum sounds, instruments, plugins. We will look into them later, and start using some external packs, get things from different folders. I will try to use as many things available by default in Ableton Live to get you through this. The first thing, of course, is just using some samples. As you can see, I have some note samples here. If I choose this one, which is rather long, I can audition it just by looking at this. I can hear this sound. Let me turn the loop back on for you guys so that you can actually hear it, right? All right. Now, the next thing I want to show you is how to get to hear that audio. Let's see if I can just press tab and get into this view, what we call arrangement view. In this, you can see things from left to right. As soon as you hit play, you see this marker going from left to right. This is our timeline. As you can see, we can start making some arrangements here. I'm dropping this audio sample on an audio channel. Don't drop it in MIDI channel. If you want, for convenience, you can just go on the MIDI channel and delete them for now. Just press delete and you will go very clean here. Everything extra I have deleted so that you don't look elsewhere. This audio should now give you some sound as soon as you hit play. When you see this green thing popping, it means there is an audio. Let's turn it on, and you can see this green. Now, since you have this audio, the next thing obviously becomes, how do you look at this in different views and start recording yourself eventually? Because That is actually the most important thing in production. How do you actually record yourself? The thing with this is, on the right hand side you can see there is a recording arm button. You can turn it on and off. In this view you can see a solo button right besides it, a track activator button to turn it on and off, a volume fader to increase or decrease the volume of the track, and of course there are some input options on the left side. If you go in the other view, which is called mixer or session view, you can see there is the input section on the top, and you can see my default microphone is popping up here, and if I want to record something here I can immediately. The next thing I'll go to is audio. We don't want to mess with this right now. This is all routing option, we will look at it in future. For now I want you to have a look at track activator button, the solo button, and the recording button. We don't want to learn everything at once. I want you to learn the useful things at first and make some music as you go along. The way you will learn more and more things. So eventually what you need to do today is get yourself to record something nice over a beat sample that I'll give you. There is as you can see, a solo button that I've activated. Solo basically means if you have multiple tracks playing, you can use this solo button to listen to one particular selected track at a time. If you want to record something in it, just make sure you have selected external input, and if you want to listen to yourself getting processed through the computer, through the software, click on the input button and you can see the voice, my own voice can come back from the computer processed. I usually keep it on off while I'm recording so that there is no delay. Of course, you can keep it on in and record yourself as well. The next thing we will do now is use this recording button. This is called ARM recording button. ARM as such, it just powers the track to get started with recording. Before you want to record it, any sound or any input signal, you have to make sure that it is ready for recording, and this is the button that makes sure that you are prepared to do that. So let's go to the top. I can see the three very familiar buttons. You would have seen them on many things like audio players, video players, but this record button is something that we see here in Ableton Live right next to the stop button. I will ask you now to look at this view, since this just includes a timeline instead of having a vertical view. We call this the arrangement view. And as soon as you click on the record button, it will start recording after giving you 4 counts. Now my voice is getting recorded, and hopefully you can hear this. It is getting overwritten on the previous sample that I had put, and this is as simple as that. If you want to hear it now, whatever I have recorded, you have to just make sure that your input monitor is on auto. If you keep it on auto or off, you will be able to hear your own sound coming from here. My voice is getting if any conflicts happen in auto, you can turn it into no input, and now definitely you can hear what you have recorded. The next thing, of course, is getting yourself to record what we call as MIDI. To add a MIDI track which we deleted earlier, I can right click and insert as many MIDI channels as I want. We call them MIDI tracks or MIDI channels. Of course, we will start with just creating an empty MIDI clip. I select this area with my mouse by clicking and dragging. Right click over here and insert an empty MIDI clip. Once that MIDI clip appears, you can clearly see there is this section called MIDI note editor. By the way, there is something called as information view on the left side, bottom left side of every Ableton Live set. You can take your mouse anywhere on the screen and it will tell you what that click will do. So if I take it here, it tells me it's a MIDI note editor. We also call it piano roll in some other audio workstations. So that's what it is. If you want to zoom in or out of your, you know, piano roll, you can take your mouse besides the piano keys, click here and take your mouse towards left or right to widen, or I usually like it this wide. So I'll keep it that way. And if I want to zoom in horizontally, I can click my mouse here in this area, which is basically telling you where you are in terms of the notes. So this is the first count, this is the second count, this is the third count, this is the fourth count. I want to create 4 notes for each count. So I will right click here, and by default it should be on 1/4, which is a quarter note. I go here and select 1/4 by right clicking and just selecting this. I double click here to create a note. As you can see, I am creating more notes with some gaps this time, and then some more notes with even bigger gaps. I want to show you this thing particularly. You can elongate these notes. If you want to elongate 2 notes at the same time, you select 2 notes and elongate them. If you want this note to be elongated this side, you can do that as well. MIDI editor is very capable. If I want to copy them, I can just go here and press Command plus D or Control plus D in Windows to just duplicate anything I want in my Ableton Live. Once you have this down, we can start putting some sounds on this. As you can see, I have simplified my MIDI just by deleting. If I want to delete, I just double click on the note I want to delete. And now I go here, stretch it down like this. And here we have the MIDI in the arrangement. You can see in the arrangement, this is the same MIDI that appears here. If I go here, stop and play this, you can see there is no sound at all. If I turn off my original audio, it'll just give you these signals, which are fine because that's what I expect right now. I haven't put any sound on this. MIDI notes can be used to generate different sounds, and you can browse those sounds from the left hand side browser. Let's say today I just want a simple piano. So I go to the search bar on the top and type piano. As I look at it, there is piano and keys, and let's say I choose a simple FM piano and drop it over here. You can also double click on this, it will automatically load if you've selected that track. Now you can hear the sound. If I play this, you can hear the MIDI notes being played. If you want to hear which note exactly you're playing, you can look at it like this way. This is simple enough for your first lesson, and what I want you to do is record yourself, get some audio tracks from outside and try to drop them in your Ableton. There may be some corruption issues if you download the tracks from YouTube or any other website. In that case, try to convert your audio channels or audio clips into waveforms and wave files. That is like the common standard for audio production, and try to get good results with what you have right now. I hope you will be able to record yourself in terms of the MIDI. You will be creating some little sounds with MIDI and with audio. In the next lesson, we will learn a little bit music theory and try to design something more useful. Have fun.